Okay, so today I'm going to show you guys how I would edit this senior picture here. I have it opened up in Lightroom, and first we will go in and adjust the lighting. So I'm going to bring the temperature down a little bit. You can just play with these sliders. Bring it down to about here. I like it a little cooler rather than warmer, but it's a preference thing. And then for the tint, I'll just bring it to about a +1. I don't want it too pink or anything like that. Don't want it too green. I like to keep it around 0. I already went ahead and cropped it. As you can see, I used the rule of thirds. We have our eye on a second line. And then we'll go into exposure and just bump it up just a little bit. Right about there should do. It's about at a +15.15. And then bring the contrast up a little bit as well, just so we have a little bit of balance there. Not too much contrast though. People like to bring it up to here. Not usually a good style, especially for senior pictures. Highlights, I like to bring my highlights down when I do this. Helps balance it out a little bit. I'll bring it to about there. Shadows back up. And then the whites up, not too much. We don't want to bleach it out. And then the blacks down just a little bit. So I like to keep the shadows up, the highlights down, and then vice versa for the whites and the blacks. Clarity, bump it up a little bit. Again, this is all just how I'm looking and seeing how the picture looks. Vibrance up just a little bit as well, not too much. And then I don't like to touch saturation. I don't like how orangey it gets or black and white it gets. The tone curve is fun. For the tone curve, it's definitely by sight. And so what I like to do is I find these lines here. I lay a point on each line. And then I bring this up so the shadows come up a little bit. Leave this here. Bring this down a little. And then bring this down as well. And as you see, it doesn't do that much. Ooh, did too much. There we go. Doesn't change that much about the photo, but we like to have this little S shape here for portraits. I'm actually going to bring this up just a little more and then curve this up just a little bit. There we go. And then for the colors, I don't want to mess with too much, but I'm going to bring the greens up in saturation just a little bit. And then I'm going to bring up the blues just a little bit. I tend to do that on most pictures. It really does not do that much, but again, it's a preference thing. Split toning is this cool tool here. I use this every time. And usually sometimes I'll use a set preset that I have created to split tone, but we'll do it manually right now. I like to go with a hue of 21 here. And if we bring up the saturation, you see that we're making the highlights really orange. But we're going to bring it all the way back down to about a 4. And then in order to balance out those orange highlights, we need to make the shadows somewhat of a blue color. So we'll go in here at about a 215-ish, 213. And then again, if you bring the saturation up, you see shadows are blue, but I'm going to bring them down to here as well. And the difference is subtle, but it brings light back into her face, and then it makes the background a little more cool toned. Sharpening, I leave it as it is, and then noise reduction, I'll bring it up to about the sharpening. We zoom in here, we see that everything looks nice and crisp, but also we've got smoothness. For defringing, I bring it up just a little bit. This gets rid of that purple haze sometimes. There's not really anything here. We don't have any backlighting going on. And then for the vignette, I don't even know how to say it. Bring it up to about a +3, +2. Get that lightness in the corners. And that's about it for Lightroom. We can reset the image, see what we've done. We've brightened it, we've cooled it off, etc. So now I click here, edit in Photoshop, and we'll pull that up. It takes a minute to pull up. So now we have this image open in Photoshop. We've got our tools on the side. Hopefully they're not too cut off. And what I first do is I open a new layer just so I don't forget to do that. I don't like to edit on the background at all. I leave that completely open. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in just right here to her face. And she doesn't have much we need to edit, but we'll take this. I'm going to take the spot healing brush tool, not the spot healing brush. Bring my opacity down to about 29, 30, whatever, around there for this layer. And this will be my skin layer. And option click somewhere smooth like the forehead, and we'll just smooth out these little rough lines, but we don't want the layer to be too opaque just because we don't want it to look unrealistic. Super smooth. We'll go like this through here. We're just smoothing a few things out. Super light, super subtle, but it'll make a difference in the long run. We'll take this, we'll smooth out the makeup a little up here and here as well. And then we can see what we've done. It's subtle, but it just smooths out the image. Bring it up just a little more, actually. Yeah, I like that better. Then what I do is I take Shift, click the background, Command J to duplicate, Command E, and they combine again. So this one will be eyes, and what I'll do here is I am going, oops, too much. I'm going to bring the dodge tool in and just brighten up these lights in her eyes. Just nothing more than what's naturally there. Take and do it here as well in the corners and then under the brows. Right here on the lip and then under the nose. And then I'm going to take the burn tool slightly around the edges to enhance the natural color. On the liner. Oh, and I'm on shadows, by the way. Exposure about at 12%. And then I'm going to take my sharpen tool. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to outline the eyes, eyelashes, eyebrows, right here, the lips. And that way we just have a really smooth thing going here. Bring the opacity down to about a 58. And then I'm going to take my dodge tool again on the same layer, same 58%. And I'm at 17% for this on the midtones. And what I'm going to do is just go into the hair and get rid of some of the brassy tones we get from the natural lighting. Give her a bit of a glow. So we'll go right here. Too much. Bring it down even more. Perfect. So then I'm going to make sure everything in the background's good. I'll go back to the spot healing brush and again, Shift, click through the background, Command J to copy, Command E to merge the layers. And then I'm going to take this and I'm just going to get rid of a couple of these lights that are distracting. This is just light coming through the trees in the background. They're just a little distracting to the photo, and I like it better without them. Again, a lot of this is personal preference. Do it by what you see. And I'm going to take that, bring it down again, so that they're still there, but just a lot lighter. Then what I like to do is I'll show you this. I'll group the top layers that I have touched, take them out, see what we've done. Perfect. All right. And then I'm going to add a levels layer, bring it down just a little bit. Actually, scratch that. I don't like that. So we're going to go like this. This is my final image. And then what I do is I open up Convert to Profile. I use Command R. I think what I've done is it's up here in the edit menu, but then I take, it's a ProPhoto RGB, I want it in an sRGB color space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just click that, Click OK. It's converted. It flattens the image down. Keep that in mind when you're doing this. And then after that, I'm going to save the image as a JPEG. So yeah, there is our final image. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks.